Hey guys, VoyMonk vlog number 79. And it's Valentine's Day Friday. Yeah. So if you are amongst the ugly, unlovable cretins, if you're one of those unlovable people that nobody likes, you're in the right place. This is a Friday vlog on the VoyMonk channel. I'm obviously joking. I mean, I don't know any of you or whatever, but yeah, it's Valentine's Day. Today is a tough day for any of us that ain't getting a box of chocolates. Kind of reminds me of that one episode of The Office where I can't remember I think might have been Valentine's Day. I'm not sure, but Pam kept bringing all the gifts that Bob from Bob's Vance in refrigeration was sending to Phyllis. like every other every thing that was coming. I think there was like a couple. I think Angela might have sent Dwight. I need to start watching The Office again. It's been a little bit of. It's been about a year. Maybe things are getting foggy. But anyways, Phyllis kept getting all these all these gifts, right, from Bob. But yeah, and Pam just kept trucking them all through, and it's like I think if there's ever a time that I could ever identify with the character in the specific episode, a specific situation, it was that. It's just like, not that I've been in that particular situation, but yeah, it's pretty tough, And like I said, I've said this week in terms some of my feelings and thoughts in my mostly my experience with love and relationships is that they're tough. The meaning of words have sometimes in some ways kind of lost all meaning for some people. I mean, we use love, we use family in place of other words like appreciation or thankful or whatever. And I think that comes from a place usually out of fear, out of maybe I make mention about the term love bombing as well. And that's when sometimes people who may feel inadequate or may not do what they're supposed to will overcompensate by saying that they love someone, as opposed to what I just said, maybe doing it or showing it in ways that are substantial as opposed to just saying words. And, I don't mean to be ultra critical in that means. I think love can mean various different things to various different people. And I don't say that I know or have any authority from which to, make any declarations or judgments or determinations on it. I'm just simply saying that from my own personal experience, I think it's more than what it's held up in and it's more than skin deep. I'd say when I think of a mother and her child who has cancer or is going through a sickness or an illness or something like that, or a husband or a wife that's taking care of a significant other in the same or similar situation, looking past the whatever. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I do understand that people are human and we're all bound to feel and act certain ways. I'm also not one of those people that sees someone with a chronic or a debilitating condition that's being propped up as some kind of way to tell a story in order to make others feel as though they should be more appreciative for what they've got rather than complain about the things that they haven't achieved or they don't have. I'm not very trusting of that kind of tactic. I think it's I think it's also destructive as well. Being critical, being judgmental of people, uh, I think it's always a chore. I mean, some people say don't do it at all. Some people, say, people get what they deserve. I guess I view it as, and then of course there's philosophical stuff about it too, and that's all right as well. I mean, I think you can hold prejudgments off, but at the same time, I think you can evaluate situations for what they are and how they present themselves in an objective way. And that, I think, genuinely has more traction and weight and is more important, especially when it's specific, it's actually applicable, you know, because that's always important. Like I said, when it comes to actual love itself, uh, I think obsession is another word that kind of gets disguised or sometimes confused for. I think growing up, using myself an example, I mean, I see like a woman that I thought was just absolutely gorgeous, right? Because as you do, growing up in the 80s and 90s and you got Baywatch or whatever, I mean, you could fall in love. Of course, you don't really know what the hell love means, but you could fall in love with, I'll use Pamela Anderson. I was not in love with Pamela Anderson, but you'd fall in love with Pamela Anderson, right? I mean, she's a quirky woman. She's beautiful. She wants nothing better for the world than just to save you if you're drowning, right? I mean, I get that, right? I mean, plus, she's great to look at. She's beautiful and perfect and all those things. Like I said, I had my Pamela Anderson. I can't think of who that is right now. I think I was into Paula Abdul. I know, probably in not everyone's thing, but like I said, I had a love, an attraction. Some people call it puppy love or whatever, in that sense. But the truth of the matter is that while that might be, expected from someone who's pre-adolescent like myself or whatever. I mean, you see, you got these emotions and feelings and stuff. But I think over the years, as a natural progression, a human being is supposed to evolve past that. You see Pamela Anderson and you see all these things that are perceptions based on an image that is manufactured to elicit a certain response to make it so that you want to watch a show and ultimately watch that show that's been, fitted with commercials, right? And that's just, part of marketing. That's what it is. But the thing is that, on a deeper level, it's like, I think the ultimate question is okay, how do I get that, right? How do I build myself to being the person that gets to maybe even date Pamela Anderson? I'm just using that as an example. Or I find love a beautiful woman who loves me and I love her and all that kind of stuff. Well, obviously whatever, floats your boat. But my point is that how do you reach that? How do you get to that point? And for me, it's like, I don't think that I ever did. I mean, I didn't live in Hollywood, California. I don't have any money. I don't know how one gets to the point where they get to date someone like Pamela Anderson. And again, this ain't about Pamela Anderson, nor did I fancy her in reality. I'm just making a point. The point is that, it's like if you use that as an inspiration and a springboard or any kind of platform from which to start, and then you never really get to the point where you kind of got to understand that beyond that marketing, beyond the thing that you see or whatever, There is, a depth that you need to have for a person that's more than just what you're seeing with your eyes, but you also have to be able to recognize them as a person, as a human being, as someone who's got faults, that has flaws, that absolutely is not going to greet you every single day with a smile, right? Isn't going to be, bouncing up and down this beach, looking like that, and the best shots and angles that you can find. That's just not reality. And as close as something like that could actually ever be, again, even in reality, there's going to be reasons for that. But ultimately, and I've touched on this in other vlogs as well, people perceive and I think project what happiness is as part of that, especially as they're growing up. Like as me as a poor kid growing up in South Minneapolis, not having access to a lot of things and having access to some things, the mind begins to kind of conceptualize things. And keep in mind, I'm a kid that has ADHD. I have antisocial problems. I'm not very good in school. I have the issues that I have, and I'm bringing this up because I don't think that I'm the only one. I think this is something that people and human beings can struggle with now, and I think it can even be worse in some cases, especially if the only interactions that you do have, even though we didn't have the internet, and nowadays maybe you have none. It's just like, where do you really get those that education to go and understand and figure out, what? There's the idea, and then there's the reality, and there's some parts of this that I don't quite get. And the truth of the matter is, whether it's Pamela Anderson, a rock star, or a movie, or anything, nobody always gets what they want. Right? It doesn't matter who it is. Nobody gets everything that they want. And even people that get the most things, there's still always going to be something that they wish that they had or didn't have. And, it's hard to kind of get to that understanding and at least that appreciation or acceptance without tools, without things from which to feed off of and develop. Me, I didn't do that. It's part of my psyche now. That is part of the brokenness that's in me, and probably a lot of other people that probably never found that true love. I mean, this is Valentine's Day. And so, but the bigger picture, and the reason I kind of bring that up is that, we're in 2025, here in the present, here in the now. What are the steps that someone right now who's going through maybe that same situation and circumstance, and I'm not talking about just kids, I'm talking about full-grown adults, right, that has to wonder, who is it, what is it that I want, how am I going to find my true happiness? How do I find love? And I think when it comes to it being Valentine's Day, it's a commercial holiday, but really, it really isn't anywhere, at least to me, a way to find that out or about anything, concerning that when it comes to how people learn, how people develop, how people integrate, and that kind of thing. And I'm speaking for myself. I am 46. I'm not one who is looking or wants to even engage in that kind of thing. I'm just exhausted like most people and a lot of other people. But the truth of the matter is that, kind of scratching the surface a little bit beyond. And hopefully, if you are one of those, ugly people that nobody likes that's listening to this right now, maybe you kind of go, maybe it kind of makes sense why, a holiday like Valentine's Day, really doesn't mean a whole bunch other than, it's just kind of an excuse for someone to want to sell you something like chocolates or jewelry or something like that. But the truth of the matter is that, unlike the holiday, for example, that just passed, Christmas, which I think genuinely at least tries to be about something, it's like, I don't know that I necessarily say the same thing about Valentine's Day. And I'm not trying to pick on just Valentine's Day. There's lots of other holidays that are kind of the same way. And like I said, I could be wrong, obviously, but no, just the way that I see it, I think it's kind of hard to not, see the parallels from a disingenuous holiday that's supposed to be about love, and the fact that there aren't really a whole lot of people that really mean love or have those types of relationships, even if they think that they are, or maybe even call themselves in a relationship. It's just, there's the idea and then there's the reality of it. So, if you find yourself in that category that I mentioned, it probably doesn't make you feel any better, but maybe it makes it make a little bit more sense that it's, if it was called National Hot Dog Day, as we have a National Hot Dog Day, it really doesn't have any more significance or relevance than that. And so if you don't like hot dogs, I don't think it should be any bigger of a slight than if you find yourself alone. I mean, it's not exactly the same way. I mean, it's maybe a false equivalency, and it's not. I mean, if you're not able to find a romantic love, maybe it's about something else. I mentioned relationships in general. If you have a hard time with relationships, I don't think romantic relationships are going to get any better. I think there's once upon a time that it was said, and I heard that, in order for you to have a good romantic relationship, you have to have a good friendship first. And I think that's true. I was talking about Pamela Anderson. I'm not, but I'm saying, using as an example, I'm never going to meet Pamela Anderson. I'm not going to know who she is. I have no clue what that human being is like or about or anything. I just know from what I've seen on a television screen that isn't real. I mean, she's real, but the image is not real. And therefore, even if that's the thing that I'm kind of fallen in love and I use as a template or a map, or an idea, then, the reason that you're not going to find love is because your map is wrong. Your idea isn't the truth. And the chances of that, turning into love, and I'm using this as an example, you can use it with anything else that you want. It's going to be remote. I think on the positive side, what is it that makes, I'm not looking for myself. Like I said, again, I feel like I'm past that, but I'm saying that if you're looking for love, what is it that you find important? What is it that is happiness to you? Sometimes it's looks. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. But I'm saying to you, I don't, and like I said, I'm not giving advice or whatever. I'm just, and I want to be careful of that, but I want to say that for me, if I'm not willing to do the work, if not willing to get that kind of thing in, then maybe it's not something that I really want. But whatever it is I want, as far as that makes me happy, what to me is a great relationship? What is that love that I'm seeking? And for me, that answer is I'm not looking for that. I'm not seeking it. If it were going to happen, it probably would have happened already. It's very possible that, I mean, I love my mom. She's the person that, like I said, it's obviously not a romantic relationship, you know what I mean? But I love her. I love spending time with her. I'm not thinking about, obviously, sex. I'm not thinking about it in a romantic way. She's a person who I love genuinely. I care about her. I want to make her happy. I want to make her comfortable. I want to make sure she's safe and taken care of. That to me is love. And, like I said, when she talks, I love to listen. When she's around, I don't feel alone. I mean, I'm using that as an example, but I'm saying to you, you can have that with anyone that can reciprocate the same thing. I mean, some people say pets are, kind of the same thing, and I suppose they can be. I don't really look at it that same way, but I'm saying to you that if you have an affection for something that goes beyond caring just about yourself, and I do mean more than just, what's in it for me at the end, which I'm not saying is a good or bad thing, then I think, I gotta preface and emphasize this again. I'm talking about me. I think, I think that is probably where at least I find my map and my start. And so, for me, I think it's very difficult to find a connection with people. I'm not saying that I can't, but I'll be honest, I think I've given up. In terms of a personable way, I've got a lot of other issues and problems as well that has nothing to do with other people per se, but it's a part of, maybe you want to say it's whatever damage with me or whatever. But I am who I am. And, I'm not always happy. Obviously, like I said, I suffer from major depression and anxiety and ADHD, but that's who I am. And, it's, it took me a lot of years to know that. Whether it could be changed, whether this road could have gone this way or that way, whatever. But I think what helps me, at least with what I've said, is that, establishing a map, having a real idea as opposed to, or at least a reality as opposed to just an idea, that has made a profound difference. It doesn't mean that it's always a great truth. Truth is the truth. But, like I said, I think it can be hard. Today can be tough. But I think with the knowledge, not necessarily being power, but it can be something to move on. It can be something to navigate. It can be something to understand. And I think, it can be something to build on. I mean, hopefully that's what I think. And that's the reality and experience that I've had. So hopefully if you are listening to this, you enjoyed what you listened to. And I hopefully, if you have some ideas, please share. I do make this, to somewhat get engagement and, saying a lot, but I'm getting ready to wrap this up and finding my spot to say, if you do like what you're listening to, you know what to do. But like I said, more importantly, if you'd like to engage, you're welcome here. So that is going to be it for my Friday Valentine's Day vlog for 2025. It's been a crazy day. Anyways, until next time, take care.